Good morning, Sam. It is Monday, October 31st, 2022. Happy Halloween. I had a conversation with my sister a couple of weeks ago that really got me thinking. She brought up the idea of what it is like to be a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, middle school age boy experiencing the world. She talked about what it was like to be a middle school girl, where, you're going through puberty and you have friends around you who are also going through puberty, and you're starting to talk about things together as a group. When something is happening, you guys are all discussing it, the changes in the way you're emotionally perceiving the world, physically perceiving the world, being physically perceived by the world, right? As girls are sexualized far younger than they should be in our society today. But for guys, she hypothesized, it doesn't seem like there was that kind of connection. It didn't seem like those kind of conversations were taking place. And she asked me what it had been like to be a boy growing up and going through these changes. And I thought about it, and I couldn't really remember a time that me and my guy friends between the ages of 12 and 14 talked about any of this. We talked about Star Wars and sports and things that were going on in our lives externally, but very rarely what was going on inside. Very rarely what we were thinking about when we were alone. We didn't talk about emotions hardly at all. It isn't until much later that I actually had conversations with other men discussing how I felt. So what my sister suggested is that a lot of women are kind of fed this idea that what they're going through is okay. That the emotions that they're experiencing are good and healthy and normal and rational, and that there is a community to support them when things don't work out. But guys are kind of left on their own. And more than that, they're being told some things by society. Some ideas are being communicated to them, including that the feelings that they're having internally, particularly sexually, are incorrect. They're wrong and they're bad. That they shouldn't be having these feelings toward other people, and that instead they should be containing themselves, bottling it up, holding it in as much as they can. You need to control your desires. You need to keep yourself in check. You need to make sure that you're not a problem. You need to make sure that you're not a predator. These are the kind of ideas that are being communicated to 12, 13, 14-year-old boys. Somewhat subconsciously, but also sometimes rather explicitly. And I understand why a lot of that is important. But what happens as you grow up is you start to internalize those feelings. You start to internalize the idea that you are not good. That inherently you are bad. That the feelings that you're having about the world are not good feelings to have. And when you have those feelings, when you have those desires, when you have those inclinations, what comes across is guilt. You feel guilty for being sexually attracted to something. You feel guilty for having desire. And I think that this manifests then in a couple of different ways. One of which is like going the kind of like Playboy pickup artist type direction, which I think is inherently rather problematic. And the other side is just feeling and dealing with this kind of guilt that you inherently are not good enough. And I think this is why men like me are so attracted to self-help material. Inherently, I have a perceived sense that I am not good enough, that I am inherently a bad person, and I must change that. Whether that's true or not is kind of besides the point. That's a feeling that I've had. That's a feeling that I've experienced, and that's a feeling that I thought most people have experienced. And therefore, I must do things in order to shore up who I am in the world to make me a better person. Whatever proxy that is, whether that's making more people like me, whether that's making more money, whether that's being more charismatic, whether that's being more successful in whatever domain you want to choose success. There's a sense that I am not good enough, and therefore I must improve. I've had an obsession in the last couple of years with self-improvement. And by and large, it's been a really positive obsession. Don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like I've become a much better person because of that. But the reason that I have found myself so obsessed with these kind of ideas is because I inherently felt that I needed to. I inherently felt that I am not good enough as I am. I must get better. And I think that that's a problem. I think that that's probably not good. And maybe it doesn't stem from like early puberty ideas of masculinity that form who you are, but I wonder if that's a piece of it. It certainly feels that way. What my sister said felt intuitively correct. That there was a perceived sense that I was a danger to other people, that I was a problem, that I needed to be careful in the world, and I needed to become a better person. That being said, I think there's room for everyone to grow and change and get better, yet I still battle with guilt about how I feel, about what I want. I'm not quite sure how to combat, but I think that that's why there's such a popularity. I think that many men are riddled with guilt, and they feel that they need to improve themselves. They feel that they need to get better. And I don't think it's even that explicit or that known. But I think that that's a big part of it. I definitely feel guilty, and I feel like I need to get better. A better communicator, a more empathic person, a more connected person. And like, that's good. Like, I do need to get better. Maybe the driver shouldn't be guilt. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. Smackers, thank you so much for watching. Please comment below if you think I'm onto anything here. I don't know. This is just my thoughts on a Monday. Sam, I'll see you on Thursday. Sam, I agree with your last video. I do miss kind of making these every day. I don't want to make them every day anymore. And I certainly don't have time to do that, but I do miss it a little bit.